Hi everyone, this is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot. This is a quick update video on my deck here. So, okay, I have come to some realizations. So, I had to buy a couple of decks. I know that sounds crazy, but I did. And so I've had to make a decision on how I'm going to approach my no-buy part of my depth year. So you remember, my depth year was going to be initially for 1 year, and it was going to be the first 6 months a low-buy year, and then the last 6 months of the year of 2020 was going to be a no-buy year. And then I was feeling so good about my low-buy year, and then I was doing pretty good on my no-buy section. And then I was feeling so good. In fact, I was like, well, I want to extend my depth year for another 6 months into 2021, where I go back into low buy mode, and then I'll resume my collecting habits. But yeah, I have actually bought a few decks in, like, I want to say October primarily, and I just bought a couple now, and I realized I was like, I have to. And you guys were like, no, you don't. I'm like, okay, I know, I don't. But what I decided to do is to switch. I'm going to just have 2020 be low buy, and then 2021, the first 6 months, be no buy. And so what happened is that so I am moving, and I will probably be traveling and living abroad, and I'm not going to necessarily be able to be in the US having easy access to decks where they're made there and I can easily get them. They're usually a little bit cheaper to ship or free even. It's not going to necessarily be like that. So a couple of the decks I got because I was like, it's going to be a grip to pay for shipping otherwise. And the other thing is, there was a couple of folks, one deck creator who was going, she's moving herself, so she's going to be unavailable for a few months, and that few months runs into the time I plan on being gone and traveling abroad. So I was like, that's not going to work because I want her deck now. So that was one deck. And then I bought a backup deck, the backup Lightseers Tarot, because I used the mass market one so much that I bent some of the cards pretty bad. And I just really like it. I just really connect with it. And again, I'm going to be in a place that I don't know how readily available it is to get decks. So I wanted to have a backup that is a working deck of mine. So if it's a working deck of mine, I was like, I need to definitely make sure that I have it. So there was that deck. And then there was one or two decks that I got that was for specific reading offerings that I was offering for my business. So those are a little different. I treat those a little different because I can actually write those off if I'm strictly using them for business purposes. It gets tricky though, and I'm a woman of integrity. It gets tricky if it's a deck that I'm using for readings for myself and readings for clients. So I do have some decks that are exclusive for just paid client working decks, not decks that are just kind of for me or kind of, So I try to keep it clean, and I put that on my spreadsheet too, that this is a business use only deck. And so there was a couple of those, so that was okay, but still, I bought a couple of decks that I still have to account for. And yeah, so there was only a few though. It wasn't much, but I bought I did buy a few. It was like a few, like that many. So I just wanted to come on here and confess that that's what I did. And I don't feel really bad about them. I did deck interviews on these decks. They all seem to be something I would resonate with. Some of these decks I was blessed with as gifts, so yay. And then others, they were purchased by myself, and with good reason. So I still paid even with these deck purchases, because quite a few of them were actually mass market, there's only 3 of like 5 or 6 that were mass market. So it was like, yeah, so mostly mass market. It wasn't a big investment, so ultimately I still paid far less than what I normally pay throughout the year for decks. So I still feel really good and feel really solid about my depth year. And I know that it'll be easier for me to do the depth year fully no buy for 6 months in the new year, because I just have a feeling it's not going to be as easy for me to get decks. And some of the decks that I've got just recently, like the Lua Tarot and the Bone Stone and the Testa Onyx and the Victorian Romantic, and even some of my mass market, like the Uncommon Tarot, the True Heart Intuitive, and just some of my oldies. I have decks to really dive into and play with and just explore in the evenings after I've gone sightseeing and spend time with my Spanish teacher, because I am going to learn Spanish. Going to, even though my tongue is so gringa. It's like, oh, it's so bad. But whatever, whatever. I'll be all right. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to have my confession and also my change-a-roo. I'm gonna talk about that at my end of the year update, because I'm gonna do an end of the year update for my depth year, and then I'm gonna do updates in the new year about how I'm doing. I'm still gonna stick it out though, because I feel so good about the fact that I've spent quite a bit less, very much a fraction of what I would have been paying, and I'm happy and proud about that. And I know that I really can't travel with a lot of decks, so I am going to definitely be selling off some more of my decks. I have some I'm going to be giving away, but there's going to be some I'm selling, so I want to lighten my load as best I can. But I love my babies, so they probably will be coming with many of them, but not all of them. So I may sell some in the marketplace. I may just sell them on my website, just kind of put them as, various decks on my website, and just kind of mention that I've got them on there, and you purchase them and I mail it to you. Keeps it very simple, I may do that. So keep a lookout. I'll definitely keep people abreast of when I'm selling decks or when I'm doing that, I guess. Not all the time. Sometimes I kind of discreetly go in the marketplace, drop a deck here or there, and then in and out, sell it, and move on. Simple that way. But this will be probably, I'm thinking I'm going to do a lot of them, like a full smattering of them, because I want to get rid of as many as that I'm not using. And not get rid of, I hate talking about my babies like that. I want to pass them along to loving homes so that they can be used and just used all up. So yeah, my depth year. But I still feel good about it, guys. I do. And actually, I was thinking, I was like, I'm going to make another deck. I'm like making my decks. I make my own little oracle decks for my client readings, and I decided I was going to make another one that I feel like called to make. And so I sense that once I'm beyond my depth year, I have a feeling that, or my depth, gosh, it's more than a year, it's a year and a half. I have a feeling that I'm going to just start making my own decks, and just like my own oracles, and maybe even some of my own tarot, and just kind of doing that if I need a new deck, because I really love working with the decks that I kind of looked for the photos, I came up with the keyword, etc. So I'm all showing you guys this gifts and talent. I love that. So, oh no, that's part of the picture, I guess. Where's that a marking? Maybe it's a marking. Gifts and talents. struggle. So yeah, I just really like making my own decks and just using them. So I sense that is the direction that my collection is probably going to go in, unless there's some amazing deck that I have to have that comes out. I also have this fantasy that once like the pandemic simmers down, hopefully at some point in the future, in my lifetime, I'm sure it will, but I'd like to have like a little library of sorts where people can come in and look through the decks and be gentle, of course, but I don't know, I'm kind of weird that way. I want to like have a display, but I want people to like look at them and learn from them, or I use some of them as teaching decks, and I plan on just really finding different ways to use them, but if I can't, they really need to be rehomed. So yeah, so that's it, guys. That was all. I was just feeling like I was writing in my journal that I keep track of what I've been up to with my death year, and I realized I was like, I need to be like transparent with my peeps and accountable for what I've been up to. And yes, I am changing the rules, but I make them, I break them, I'm allowed. I can do that. But I'm still sticking it out, and I still have a feeling that I can do the no-buy year in 2021, because I'm going to be hella busy. I'm going to be too busy shopping for decks. I'm going to be busy reading with those decks that I've collected. I'm going to be busy sightseeing with my husband and my daughter and my family who comes to see me and my friends, and living life. Yeah. So, anyways, talk to you guys later. That's it. Take care.